What's going on? Today we're going to take a look at some new Hearthstone cards for the next expansion, the Boomsday Project. It's going to be released on August 7th, 2018. So these cards I put in order from what I think will be the worst to the best. The first card is War Gear. It has magnetic, it's a mech, and it's a 5/5 for 5. Now, I don't think this card is gonna be amazing because you're basically just getting a Blessing of Kings for 1 more mana for 1 more on defense and offensive stats. And I think that's a little overpriced for what I want to be doing. But it also is a magnetic keyword, so I mean, I guess it can fuse into some other cards and make itself better, but this is basically just buffing another mech that you already have on the field, so I really don't think this is a great card. Next is Upgradable Framebot. Now, I actually think this card is quite a bit better than the last card simply because it costs 2 mana for 1/5. That might not seem like a great stat line, but at 2 mana, this thing can run into quite a few 2/1s or 3/1s, whatever's on the battlefield, and take care of it. So the card's not completely worthless in the early game by itself, and it's a mech, which would allow things like War Gear to gain 1 more point in power, so it'd be a 6, and then if for some reason this card had no damage to it, be a 6/10. I think that's pretty impressive for only a 2 mana card. This thing can do a lot. Next card is Barrelum Nullifier. Not 7 mana for a 3/8 with magnetic, can't be target of spells or hero powers. Now I think this card is pretty good. Being immune to spells and hero powers is pretty nice, especially the fact that you can buff this thing with other mechs. Now I think this card could be very impressive depending on what other mechs they show. This thing could be a very good card. It might even go up in my rankings depending on what they show later on. Next card, Menacing Nimbus. Right now, I think this card is pretty good. I just like value on my cards, so I think this card could be pretty good. 2 mana 2/2 that draws you a card. That seems pretty good to me. Now we go to Stargazer Luna. I think this card is pretty good. I think that 3 mana 2/4 is decent. I think you do need to actually draw a card to make this card worth anything. Obviously you wouldn't play this card in your deck as just a 3 mana 2/4. So what this card does is forces you to play the rightmost card in your hand to draw your card. So it's dictating to you what you need to play in order to take advantage of this card. Now that could be pretty garbage. Like, you might not want to play the most right card in your hand because that's the card you just drew, so you can't be really making plays based on what you draw every single turn. So you could play this on 3 and not draw a card, and then it dies, and then this card's basically completely useless. So it actually makes more sense to play this card when you know you can play another card that's gonna be the rightmost card in your hand. Not saying you can't play it by itself, because I'm pretty sure most people are going to do that, but if this card is only a 3/2, it's just not worth it in your deck. That being said, obviously has huge potential to draw you a lot of cards, especially in Mage where you have a lot of low spells. You can play this on like turn 7 or something throw off some arcane missiles and just start going crazy. So that's why I'm rating it so high. Now, this card is insane. Silith, or whatever his name is, has Magnetic, Divine Shield, Taunt, Lifesteal, and Rush. Wow. 5 mana for a 3-2. That's not great stats, but all that stuff that it gives you is insane. This can be your catch-up mechanic, and it can be your life defender. Man, this is just such a good card. You mix this with basically anything, and it's insane. Mix this card with upgradable Flamebot. Bam. 4 mana, or 5 mana, 4/7. Taunt, Divine Shield, Lifesteal. That by itself was crazy, but on top of that, you also get the Rush, so you're getting the Lifesteal right off the bat. Just think of all the other mechs you can yank it with. I think this card is going to be a serious contender, so I would not be surprised to see this in almost every freaking deck. So that's the last card we have to look at today, so hope you enjoyed that.